What is up, you guys? Glitchiz here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I wanted to bring you a full recap of all of the killer information that dropped with the latest dev live stream. There was a lot of questions that were answered, some new features that are going to be introduced, and pretty much everything regarding the big 1.2 patch and update that's coming on September 26th was discussed during this live stream. So for those of you that didn't watch it, I want to go over everything in detail and let you guys know all the cool things we have to look forward to. So right out the gate, much like every other live stream that we've had so far, the big thing that I'm sure everyone's most excited about is the juicy Starcrum rewards. They usually give out 1 or 2 redeem codes during these live streams. So I'll go ahead and throw the 2 codes that they gave during this one up on the screen now. I'm told that these codes are good until the end of October 31st or so. So just make sure that you redeem them in the game before that deadline. But if you claim both of them, you will not only get 2 butterfly emissary crates for some cosmetic tokens, but you will also get rewarded with 1,000 Starcrum. So nice free little reward there. And again, if you want a quick summary of how to redeem them in game, just hit F3 and then hit X, and that will take you directly to the redeem rewards page where you can just copy and paste, or manually in this case, type those 2 different codes in. And that is how you can redeem those gifts. Now, the next thing that the devs went over, they kind of had a Q&A where they asked several questions. They kind of pick and choose some specific ones that they wanted some serious answers for. There's about 5 of them in particular that I wanted to go over. The first 2 was, when will we be able to, or if the feature is even going to be added to change our character's gender, and will we be able to ever delete our characters on a particular server? And the answers that we got were yes for both. So the gender change is coming, and the ability to delete characters is also coming. However, unfortunately, they didn't have an exact time frame of when that would come. Hopefully it's not too far, but the developer did confirm that those features are coming. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is a lot of people ask, will we be getting a bunch of new housing blueprints and furniture and things like that? That was a resounding yes. We have a ton of new formulas that are going to be coming to the game, as well as a bunch of new wallpaper skins that we can use in our territories. So that was a big question that was asked. Another one was, will we ever get increases to our structure limits for building our bases? And they kind of went in detail as to why it's kind of hard to balance that when it comes to the stability of the servers. However, they did mention and confirm that they are in the process of doing stress tests to kind of min-max and see what they can get away with in the game. And if the final result that they come to is that they can increase a little bit more, then they probably will. So it's not a 100% yes, but they did confirm that they are testing it and doing stress tests on the server to see what the servers can handle when multiple people are building with larger structure points. So that is in the works as well. And then the last big one that I wanted to touch on is people asked about whether or not an auction house was going to be added to the game. Unfortunately, it is not. There's no plans for an auction house to be added. The developer said that the reason being is because auction house tend to be very transactional based. And for this game in particular, they wanted to really hone in on the social aspects of the game, and the way the current vending machine system works kind of ties into that. People actually have to physically go places, interact with people, and kind of trade one-to-one instead of just through a generic auction house. So that feature isn't planned on being added to the game. They're going to kind of stick with the vending machine options. So those are the main key questions that were answered. The next obvious things that were talked about is the big Prismverse Clash PvP scenario that's coming on September 26th. I could go in a ton of detail here explaining how that new system is going to work. However, during the live stream, our good friend H37 had another crash course video explaining everything that we need to know. So I'm going to hand it over to H37 for a second and let him explain it to you here. And I'll get back to you guys as soon as the demonstration is finished.
Hello, Metas! Welcome to today's Once Human Crash Course! I'm your friend H37, and today I'll be talking about Prismverse Clash, the new PvP scenario coming with the version 1.2 update on September 26th. This scenario features team PvP that's even more intense and fast-paced than an Evolution's Call. Firstly, Prismverse Clash has fewer phases, 4 to be precise, other than starting settlement phase. All other scenario phases have been shortened to 19 days. This will greatly reduce the preparation period, meaning you'll get a pure PvP combat experience from the very first day of the season. In the wilderness, multiple contest areas have been marked where you can engage in PvP either solo or alongside your friends. Furthermore, you won't drop any gear or resources if you're defeated in Prismverse Clash, so you can go all out in PvP without worrying about losing important items. There's no doubt Prismverse Clash will involve many ambushes and group fights, but there's more. You can also raid other players' territories. This game mode, which combines base building and PvP, is sure to make the faction war much more thrilling. In contest areas, combat is only one shot away. The fights between raiding and defending hives may break out any time. Call on your friends, prepare your best gear and items, and plan your raid strategy to crush your enemies and their bases all at once. You might be wondering what new challenges Prismverse Clash has to offer. That's why I'm here. Let me tell you all about this new scenario. Now, how is the winning faction determined? Prism deviations are the key to victory in Prismverse Clash. Fight over them in the wilderness and secure them to earn Prism energy for your faction. The faction with the most Prism energy by the end of the scenario wins. Now, you might be wondering, what in the world are Prism deviations? And how do they differ from regular deviations in existing scenarios? Prism deviations are special deviations with unique attributes that can be found throughout the world. Prism deviation provides a different amount of Prism energy depending on its rarity. Certain deviations, such as Electric Eel and the Digby Boy, will be converted into Prism deviations. 2 new Prism deviations will also be introduced in this scenario: Berserkosaurus Rex and the Radiant one, which are so rare that securing one will earn your faction a massive amount of Prism energy. But how am I supposed to find these Prism deviations, you ask? They can be obtained by fishing and gathering in contest areas or by participating in public crisis events. That's not all, though. You can also attack the opposing faction and seize their hard-earned Prism deviations for yourself and your faction. The next question is, how do you secure a Prism deviation after obtaining it? I've prepared a securement guide, so please note the following pointers. 1. You must be in a contest area to secure a Prism deviation. 2. Prism deviations take different amounts of time to secure, depending on their rarity. 3. If you teleport, enter a safe zone, are defeated by another player, or enter a dungeon while carrying a Prism deviation in your backpack, the Prism deviation will escape and return to the contest area. Prism deviations will also escape if held in a securement facility in your territory, and the facility is destroyed before securement is complete. Therefore, you should team up and defend Prism deviations while they are being secured. If you are confident enough, you can even collect multiple Prism deviations and secure them all at once. But you'll have to be careful. Carrying a Prism deviation will reveal your location to the opposing faction. And the more Prism deviations you have, the more exposed you'll be. Having been through the basic rules, you'll probably have noticed that your territory is extremely important in the fight for Prism deviations. Defending Prism deviations as they're being secured will take more than your own strength. It'll also take a strong territory. Having a well-built territory will increase your chances of withstanding enemy raids. You should aim to occupy strongholds in the wilderness with your hive or faction allies, or else build a huge fortress with robust defenses. I'm looking forward to seeing the creative territories you'll come up with. But I wonder if even the most seemingly perfect territory can truly be impregnable. I guess you'll have to find out for yourself. To help you adapt to Prismverse Clash quicker, the scenario has 3 major seasonal phases, namely Prism Descent, Clash at Blackfell, and The Last Stand. So, what are these phases exactly? The first phase, Prism Descent, lasts for 5 days. During this time, only 4 regions in the wilderness will be accessible: Mayfly Base, Safe Zone, Rosetta Base, Safe Zone, the Public Safe Zone, and Central Blackfell Contest Area. You can think of this phase as a warm-up period during which you can familiarize yourself with the rules of the faction war, as well as try out game modes like public crisis events, securement silos, and monoliths. The second phase, Clash at Blackfell, lasts for 7 days and represents the peak of the faction war. During this phase, the Western Blackfell contest area will become accessible, enlarging the theater of conflict. Public crisis events, securement silos, and monoliths on hard mode will also become available. The third phase, The Last Stand, lasts for 7 days and will be decisive in determining the outcome of the faction war. Eastern Blackfell contest area and Pro Mode dungeons will con available during this phase. Different incidents will also occur during each phase of the scenario. What kind of impact will they have on the battlefield? You'll have to find out for yourself. Now, I'm sure you'd like to know about what kind of rewards you'll be getting for your contributions to your faction during this season. Firstly, unlike Evolution's Call, there are no war bands in Prismverse Clash, so seasonal rewards are tied to your faction instead. If your faction accumulates the requisite amount of Prism energy, all members will receive Star Chromes as a reward. You can also complete individual season goals during each phase to earn rewards, including Legacy of Conflict loot crates, Star Chromes, and more. And if your faction wins, or if the scenario ends in a draw, you'll be getting 9 Legacy of Conflict loot crates. But don't worry if your faction loses. You'll still receive 6 of those coveted Legacy of Conflict loot crates. Individual players in each faction will be ranked based on their contribution during each phase, and will receive rewards according to their ranking. You'll also be able to share your personal rewards with other players. This means that, in addition to your personal rewards, you'll be able to share the rewards of one other player. That concludes this crash course on the Prismverse Clash scenario. See you on the battlefield on September 26th.
All right, so as you can see, there's some really cool stuff to look forward to, but the key things that I also wanted to mention that weren't necessarily explained in H37's little demonstration that the devs did talk about is for the people that are currently on a PvE server and worried whether or not they can do both the PvP scenario that's coming up on September 26th or the the PvE scenario that comes on October 17th. Now we got an official release date for that as well, and the answer is yes. From what you saw from the video, the scenario is only 19 days long. So if you join a day 1 PvP scenario for the upcoming Prism Clash event, it will 100% be finished before the new PvE event starts in October. What we will probably do, just because we're a couple days behind on our server that we joined for hard mode, is we'll join a slightly delayed server for the PvP scenario, give us a chance to experience PvP a little bit. The devs did say that it's a pretty low barrier of entry for new players that aren't used to PvP, so it should be pretty fun, and it's just a quick little fun scenario. Again, like they said, you don't lose any of your equipment when you die, which is typically something you have to worry about. But if you join a delayed staggered server, you may have to wait a few extra days and join a server that's starting a few days later once the PvE scenario comes out, because it will go a couple days past when the start date of day one for the PvE event does start. So that's one thing to take into consideration. You can do both. You just may have a couple days delay depending on what server you joined for this current season 2. So keep that in mind, but it is still possible to do both. So I wanted to touch on that. Another cool thing that they talked about is that they're going to be adding a new thing called the Creators basically Scenario Workshop, where they're going to have a cash prize for the lucky winner, and basically anyone in the community will have the opportunity to submit ideas for what their dream scenario might be. And if it is chosen and the developers like it enough, not only can you win a cash prize, like I said, the developer said that currently it's sitting at about $1,500, but it has the potential to increase by the time the event is over. But on top of the cash reward, you may also see your dream scenario actually implemented into the game. So other players will be able to play it, and you'll be able to have the bragging rights that this was my idea type of thing, and the community's ideas can be directly implemented into the game, which is pretty cool. I'm sure I'll probably think of something and submit my own as well, so pretty excited about that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, which was kind of some additional updates and notes that they addressed towards the end of the stream, is they have a new update with the 1.2 patch on September 26th coming to animals and taming. The big one, which I kind of already talked about in a previous video because we found it out early, was they're adding the 3 new animals, which you technically can already do for taming, which is the leopard, the capybara, and the flamingo. But the other big thing is they are officially bringing breeding into the game. Now, the developer kind of went in detail on how that system is going to work. So let me go over that now. Basically, how it's going to happen is there are several conditions that will have to be met. The first one is that the animal that you're trying to breed has to have a high tameness level. The next thing is the animal has to be considered in adulthood. It can't be one of the baby animals. And the last thing is there's going to be a new building facility that you'll have to construct called the Youngling Hut. And I'm assuming that is where the new offspring will basically spawn in the beginning after they're done mating. And then once those 3 basically criteria are met, what will happen is one of your high tamed animals will then have a small chance to enter a mating phase, or a mating state, if you will, after any time you give them a drink or feed them. And once they're in that mating state, then obviously with the male and female in the same vicinity, they can potentially start the breeding process, and that is how you get the babies. The other cool thing coming along with the breeding feature is they're adding a new appearance feature to animal taming, in which point basically all the animals from now on, starting with the 1.2 patch, that you capture have the potential to have variations in their fur patterns and the patterns on their skin. And those new patterns with your captured animals can carry over to the offspring after you do the mating feature. So that's pretty cool. We're going to get some variations similar how we have the shiny deviants now. There's going to be some cool new basically textures and variants to the colors and patterns on the animals that we tame as well. So that's a pretty cool feature they're adding there. Another cool thing that I wanted to talk about is that they're going to be hosting a basically Twitch war, faction war between some major Twitch streamers, starting at the beginning of the patch as well. I'll probably throw up an image here. There's a list of some of the top Twitch streamers in the world that are going to be participating in this event, and players will have the opportunity to join and ally with one of those major streamers. And once that kind of faction war is completed, not only will the winning teams get a ton of bonus rewards, but they are also going to be hosting a basically voting event where you can, if you're not even participating in the event, can vote on whose team you think is going to win. And if your team ends up winning, the one that you vote for, you will also get some additional rewards, which is pretty cool. So that's another event we have to look forward to. The next big thing that they talked about is they're going to be having an update to Eternal Land. I'll probably throw an image up here. It's kind of reminds me of how the homes and territory, personal territory structures work in like Lost Ark, for example. They're basically going to have a new window. I'll pull that image up here where you can see several random other players' Eternal Lands in this little menu, entry menu, and you can basically vote on different Eternal Land locations that you like the most. And I'm assuming they're going to tie in some sort of reward system, maybe an experience system for how well your Eternal Land is rated. And as you see from the image, the bubbles are bigger or smaller. That is going to be based off how many likes that your Eternal Land has. So the ones at that randomized selection screen that have the most likes will be put in the forefront and have the bigger bubble. The ones that have less will slowly and gradually get smaller, but it will give you a chance to more easily access some random players' worlds, so you can maybe see some cool custom builds that they did. I know a lot of people like building racetracks and fun different things, so it could be a nice little feature that they add to bring some variety and some more incentive for people to kind of take advantage of the benefits of unlimited building within Eternal Land. So that's another feature that's dropping with 1.2. Last but not least, the other thing I wanted to talk about is they're adding a new skin, a vehicle skin rather. With the first loot crate, they had a motorcycle skin called the Pyroglide, which was really cool. Unfortunately, it was a little expensive in my opinion, so I didn't pick it up. That being said, they didn't mention if this new skin was going to be part of a loot crate or not. They just said it was coming in some way, shape, or form, but it is going to be a vehicle skin for the car. It is called Little Wings, I think, I believe. I'll throw an image up here. However, on top of the still image, they also made a cool little promotional video for it. So let's go ahead and play that video now, and I'll catch you guys back here in a second.
I'm the final. I never lie. Better listen. I'm in my prime, and you're never gonna catch up. Victory's my next stop. What I got you want, you're never gonna get a piece of. You said I was never gonna make it. Now look at me. I'm killing it. Jealousy, and all you ever do is try to be like me. Your prize will never reach up.
All right, so as you can see, pretty cool. Gives me some Fast and Furious vibes. Hopefully it's not necessarily too expensive or tied to some sort of a loot crate. We'll have another option potentially, hopefully, to pick it up, because it does look pretty cool compared to the only one that we have currently. But yeah, that is pretty much all of the major updates that we have to look forward to. Like I mentioned, the final thing that they kind of talked about was the official release date for the big PvE update that's coming in October. That will be on October 17th. So if you want to do that, make sure to sign up for it as soon as possible, regardless of whether or not you're going to attempt the PvP scenario or not. Honestly, in my opinion, even if you like PvP or don't like PvP, I think it's going to be a fun, kind of easy segue into a PvP scenario without having to like 100% be all in on it. It's a very short scenario. It's only like 3 phases long, and it's going to be pretty quick, like you saw from the basically breakdown from H37. It's only 19 days, so you can do that whole PvP scenario, even if you're just doing it to get the bonus Starcrum rewards that they're going to be offering after you clear out the Starcrum that you can get from the current hard mode servers, and then just carry on from there into the new PvE event in October. Feel free to do that. That's probably what we'll do. But yeah, that is pretty much it, you guys. If you enjoyed it, if you found it informative, be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. I appreciate all of your guys' feedback. Also, if you want to keep up to date with my future content, consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell. And then last but not least, if you want to join a killer community of like-minded gamers, feel free to check the links down in the description and join us on the Discord. We've got over 1,000 members in there now, many of which are playing Once Human. So hopefully you jump in and we see you guys around here soon. But until the next one, hope everyone has a great day, and we'll see you all later.